all of this is smoke and mirrors. And I got news for you folks. And Jen pointed this out to me and sent me the clip. The corporate media views Donald Trump's speech today as some good thing. Oh, he was, he scaled it back. He was presidential, blah, 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 blah. Are you out of your mind? Well, first, let me play this clip. This is CNN immediately after Donald Trump's stuttering speech where he looks like he just woke up out of a coma.
And that is the response that the world was waiting to hear from the President of the United States. Gloria Borger, let me bring you in. What's your reaction?
Well, my reaction to this is, first of all, that the President made it very clear that he intends to continue and invoke more economic sanctions against Iran. This was not a call for negotiation. This was a president who believes he is dealing from strength and said, we are going to double down here to a great degree. I think it was interesting that you saw all the generals arrayed behind him during this kind of a speech. We do not see that when the president delivers what is considered a political speech to the nation, but they were standing there, and we have not seen that in the past. One other thing I also want to point out is the president blaming Barack Obama for all of this, saying that as a result of the Iran nuclear agreement, this is something he has said in the past over and over again, that they went on a spending spree, as he called it, which was funded by money that they obtained from the United States through this deal. And as we all know, after multiple fact checks over and over and over again, this is Iranian money that was unfrozen as a part of the negotiation. So I think what you saw was a president who was resolute, but not saying, let's talk. What he was saying is, we are continuing to apply maximum pressure, and he didn't acknowledge anything that the Iranians may have done in their proportionate response. And so I think this is a president who wants to let the American public know that he is dealing from strength, that he is completely unbowed, and that he is continuing to twist the knot here against the Iranians.
Jim, what did you hear?
Listen, I think it is true that the president feels he's dealing from a position of strength. But with respect, I'll disagree with Gloria, because I found it notable that the final words in the president's speech to the people of Iran, the U.S. is ready to embrace peace with all who seek it. It's not unlike President Obama's famous unclenched fist speech, which led over a number of years to negotiations with Iran and eventually the nuclear deal. And the president advertised what a potential negotiation could yield for Iran in similar terms to the way he's advertised it for North Korea, saying that this will unleash great economic opportunity for you and your people. It sounded to me like the president was at least, again, in the midst of a larger message of strength, and we got the world's worst terrorist. He's talking about the killing of Soleimani and so on. He called the world's top terrorist, reiterating his willingness to sit down at the table, again, on America's terms, but to embrace peace with all who seek it. I don't think that's an insignificant statement.
Call me something, what do you call me? A journalist. Where is it on CNN? Not one explanation, piece of proof, piece of anything for what was the imminent attack that led you to assassinate the number 2 of a sovereign country, violating international law. I don't hear Gloria Borger asking that question. I don't hear Jim Sciutto asking that question. He was resolute. He was resolute. He had the military behind him. Oh, the drapes were wonderful. The President of the United States just illegally, in violation of international law, assassinated the sovereign leader of Iran next to the Ayatollah. He's the number 2. Has Iran sponsored terrorism? Yes. But if that's the standard, then why have we not taken out Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman in Saudi Arabia? Why have we not taken out Duterte in the Philippines? What about the leader of Colombia killing political dissidents? So now we're just going to take out bad guys around the world who are leaders in sovereign countries? This is the standard? It's just unbelievable to me. And you know what? I could keep ranting, but I think Tulsi Gabbard said it even better than me. Here's Tulsi Gabbard, the one time CNN will have her on. Here's what she had to say.
We've heard Trump supporters and President Trump basically say, look, no American casualties, and we took out a bad guy, Soleimani, a terrorist leader. What would your response to that be?
Well, first, I just came from the intelligence briefing that the administration came and brought to Congress. Really, they provided vague comments, no justification whatsoever for this illegal and unconstitutional act of war that President Trump took.
You don't buy the imminent
No.
attack against Americans?
No, they failed to provide any compelling information to prove their point of imminence. And really, it brings us to the central question here, which is our country's national security better off because of Donald Trump's actions and decisions? The answer to that is no, in two primary ways. Number one is Iran is now in a position where they're not really abiding by any restrictions from the Iran nuclear agreement. They're continuing to escalate in speed towards developing their own nuclear weapons capabilities, creating a greater threat for us, to our allies and partners, and to the world. And secondly, because the troops that we have in Iraq now and the additional ones that this administration is sending there are no longer focused on what their mission there really has been, which is to prevent a resurgence of ISIS and al-Qaeda. The announcement from the commander that came from there that said, we're not doing that anymore because now we have to shift all of our efforts and focus in a defensive posture against Iran and Iranian-backed Shia militia. This leaves the door wide open for ISIS and al-Qaeda to start to reconstitute and to start to be able to build a resurgence in their terrorist activities.
What do you make of the argument made by Secretary of Defense Esper and others, which is like, look, Soleimani and the Iranian and the IRGC, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, they've been attacking Americans for decades. And it's not a secret. You don't need intelligence on this. They killed an American contractor at the end of December.
If this administration wants to go to war with Iran, they need to come to Congress, because Congress is the only body that has the authority, based on our Constitution, to decide whether or not to go to war with Iran or not. That has not happened. And that just shows the shallowness of the argument that the Trump administration is making, where on the one hand they're saying it's because of an imminent threat, but on the other hand they're saying, well, look at all of these things that have been happening for a long time. Once again, it comes back to this core question that our commander-in-chief must be able to answer, which is acting not in a reaction to say, well, we got to go take out a bad guy here, a bad guy there, but what is in the best interest of the national security of our country? What is in the best interest of our safety and security as Americans? And I think Trump's actions and decisions here further highlight his lack of experience and understanding at a basic level, and lack of foresight in national security and foreign policy, unnecessarily putting the American people further at risk.
Couldn't have said it better myself. That was Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard, obviously presidential candidate. Doesn't look like she'll be in the next debate. It doesn't look like Andrew Yang will be in the next debate. Looks as of now that we're going to have 5 candidates in that debate: Bernie Sanders, Joe Biden, Elizabeth Warren, Amy Klobuchar, and who am I forgetting? Mayor CIA, Pete Buttigieg, excuse me. Tulsi Gabbard pointed out the obvious. Number one, what CNN failed to mention, Trump didn't explain what was the imminent attack. Where is the evidence? Because I know we just went to Iraq with fake evidence, but hey, it's fine. We got oil out of it. We don't need to provide evidence to the American people. Oh, we're told for 3.5 years that Trump is working with Putin and the Russians, to hack America and, take advantage of the polar vortex, as Rachel Maddow said. Where's the evidence? We'll speculate for 3 years, but there is no evidence. That's what Robert Mueller told us. Maduro was on a plane ready to leave the runway from Venezuela. Where's the evidence? We don't know. There was no imminent attack. And what CNN left out in that display, if you call that journalism, oh, Donald Trump was resolute. No, this is what Donald Trump has done. Am I happy that no American troops died last night? Of course. Is it great that no Iraqis died last night? Of course. I would venture to guess Iran dropped the missiles in a way where they knew or they took great measures to not kill anyone. But what's amazing to me about this, Donald Trump assassinated the number 2 in Iran, right? In a span of a few days, Iran pulled out of the Iran nuclear deal. Even though America had pulled out, there were other countries still honoring it, and Iran was still honoring it. They pulled out. Then you have Iraq, who, is anyone asking? I saw in front of my own eyes on television on NBC News many years ago the last troops in America leaving Iraq. Why the f*** are there troops in Iraq? Why do we have troops in Iraq? I thought the war was over. Because America, and I said this yesterday and I'll say it again, America, we're not a one-night stand kind of gal. We're not a slam bam thank you kind of guy, you know? When we go somewhere, we're committed. We're there for the ups, the downs, and the sideways. Why are we still in Iraq? Why is the corporate media talking about us being in Iraq like that was a known thing? I thought we were out of Iraq. That's one of the few good things I think Obama did. But no, we're still there. And by the way, do we really think this is it? Iran's just going to be like, yep, there's our retaliation. Now let's sing Kumbaya. The cyber attacks and the efforts at cyber attack are certainly underway. I mean, Donald Trump's speech, if you want to say victory, no one died last night, yes. But we're in war, folks. Don't even think for a second Iran is done. And hey, if it's not looking good for Trump, if his polls go down, if new head-to-head polls show Bernie is clobbering him or Biden is clobbering him, you don't think he'll start up again? To wrap this up, I got one more to show you, which I just couldn't believe when I saw this. Jake Tapper, Jake Tapper had a little segment on Trump's speech. Tell me if you find something a little concerning about this.
So if you look at this, the question is what now? And right now, the effort against ISIS is frozen because the military is focused on protecting bases in Iraq and in the Middle East. The Iraqis want the United States out of Iraq. That's not good for our national interests. We also have Iran has also decided they're not going to abide by any of the nuclear commitments they've made. We may have been on the path to that, but this kind of expedited that. And we have personnel around the world, military and diplomatic, who are on high alert. I don't know that is a win. I don't think that is a win.
David Urban, you're a 2020...
Come on, Jen.
I'll get to you in a second. You're a 2020 Trump campaign advisor. You're also a lobbyist. You represent some defense industries, and you served in the Army. So those are all your credentials there. I want you to take a listen to the former acting CIA director, Mike Morrell, who believes that the threat from Iran, the overt threat, is over. But
I think what's not over is the covert war. And I still think that down the road, we will see an Iranian terrorist attack against a senior official.
Sure. So let's does anybody really think that that somehow Iran just had given up on harming America or Hezbollah or Hamas was just going to sit back? No, they weren't. And we took off. What this president did, and this administration did, and this military
so-and-so guest, you know, you're a Trump advisor, you're a lobbyist who lobbies for defense industries, i.e. private security, defense contractors. What are your thoughts on the display, Mr. Lobbyist for the defense industry?
Leading protests outside the embassy. I mean, maybe people forget. I don't forget. You don't forget. I hope no one forgets that, you know, our embassy was stormed. Hostages were taken.
I mean,
by the Iranians before. I mean, executed and
I just can't take any more of this.
Some of these same folks who are just eliminated.
I think
the world is much sick.
The Iranian back.
The world.
I just can't take any more of this. Well, you know, what do you think, Mr. Lobbyist? What do you think, Mr. Lobbyist, for the defense industry? I'd love to know. I mean, at least Jake Tapper disclosed it. But what is the value in parading on military commanders and generals who all I have to do is Google it and see, oh, they're on the board of defense companies. Oh, they work with defense contractors. Oh, they lobby for the defense industry. Why are these the people you're going to for analysis on war? These are the people who work to create and maintain war.
Hope you enjoyed that last video. Hop on over to statuscoup.com where you can sign up for our email list and become a member for as low as $5 to $10 a month. Membership is how we grow. That's statuscoup.com/join. And remember, join our email list so we can grow the revolution with you.